What's going on, Jets fans? As June 1st approaches, I still think the Jets should consider making just one more relatively splashy move heading into the season where they expect to compete for a Super Bowl. I won't bury the lead. I'll give you the three names, and then I'll circle back to why I like DeAndre Hopkins, Dalvin Cook, and Kevin Byard as potential fits with the New York Jets. Obviously can't sign them all, but one of those three I think could be a needle-moving acquisition for the New York Jets. Now, quick caveat. Yes, I know. The first comment, you can't sign anyone until you extend Quinnen Williams. I hear you. I agree. Quinnen Williams is under contract. Quinnen Williams will be a Jet. And just like Joe Douglas is doing other maneuvers while he was working on the Rodgers deal, there's 24 hours in a day. JD can work on the Quinnen Williams deal and still touch up some other parts of this roster. So built into it, there's that. Now, with a lot of these players, I think one of the biggest rebuttals, and I'll admit, I'm typically the go do it. I'm the go do it guy, right? When in doubt. And people tell me, Buffalo, come on, this isn't Madden. And to that, I would say, yes, it is. It's Madden to the teams who are serious about competing for Super Bowls in the modern NFL. It absolutely is. How is the Kansas City Chiefs having a quarterback built in a lab, the most physically gifted quarterback probably in NFL history, along with the best receiving tight end ever, along with the fastest human being I've seen run with the football in his hands, in Tyreek Hill, and the best offensive mind of our generation? That is freaking a Madden creation. That is absurd. The 49ers have 2,000-yard receivers, an all-pro tight end, an all-pro running back, the best left tackle in the game, an elite defense, an elite offensive-minded coach. It's a Madden creation. They haven't even done a dang thing because they're still trying to get the quarterback situated. The Bengals having an elite quarterback to go with two elite wide receivers, a third one who's really good, a Pro Bowl running back in Joe Mixon. The Rams having Aaron Donald and Von Miller, two of the best defensive linemen at their craft I've ever seen. Along with Leonard Floyd on that defensive line, just for kicks. And then OBJ and Cooper Kupp on the other side of the ball with a really good quarterback and a great coach. And then other all-pro, Jalen Ramsey. It's an absurdity of riches. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Tom Brady having Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Rob Gronkowski, two Pro Bowl wide receivers, a Hall of Fame tight end. Mike Evans probably a Hall of Famer too. And then they add Antonio Brown just for kicks. Going back a little further, when Peyton Manning goes to the Broncos, it's Demaryius Thomas, a 1,500-yard receiver. Emmanuel Sanders, a 1,000-yard receiver. Julius Thomas is a double-digit touchdown tight end. With their defense that had, with DeMarcus Ware, Von Miller, two all-pro edge rushers. And Chris Harris and Aqib Talib, two all-pro corners. And the team that they faced in the Super Bowl, the Legion of Boom, that had like an all-pro at every spot in the secondary with Bobby Wagner, a Hall of Fame linebacker in the middle of it, with KJ Wright, a Pro Bowl linebacker next to him, with a bevy of Pro Bowl caliber pass rushers, and a Hall of Fame coach in Pete Carroll, and at the time what looked like a Hall of Fame quarterback in Russell Wilson. Teams that win and compete for Super Bowls are stacked beyond belief for the most part. You know, the Kansas City Chiefs kind of did it last year on the back of Mahomes and Reed themselves. And if Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid become free agents, I would prefer the Jets sign them instead of any of the other guys I mentioned. But until then, we need to be looking at every single nook and cranny of this roster and non-emotionally say, can we get 10% better at an affordable price? I mean, I think the NFL really is going towards more closer and closer to an NBA model where it's these super teams. It's these 5 or 6 super teams duking it out in an arms race. And they can't do it quite to that extent because the NFL does have a hard cap. But with the way these GMs and owners who are willing to cut the check and the GMs who have the wherewithal to maneuver the cap is becoming a little fake. And the teams that are serious about competing don't seem to give a damn about it. And they'll eat their medicine later. I'm sure the Rams will accept 2 years of not being very good for 2 Super Bowl appearances and 1 trophy. So I say all that to say this. DeAndre Hopkins, we know why we should be interested because he's still a top 12 to 15 wide receiver in the league easily, who's still 30, who still should have 2 more years of high-level play left in him, and you can get 2/3 of his salary by cutting Corey Davis. To me, that is a no-brainer. Now, we talked about him a bunch. Next, Dalvin Cook. Again, I'm talking about bang for your buck. I'm not saying you pay Dalvin Cook $12 million. That's why he's going to be a post-June 1st cut, because the Vikings don't want to pay him $12 million. And I think in the modern NFL, your running game is really more of a function of your offensive line and your scheme than your running backs, except for like those top 8 or 9 guys, which I think Breece Hall is when healthy, and Dalvin Cook I still think is. So if you could pay Dalvin Cook, I don't know what, $6 million, and you're still paying your entire running back room under $10 million, and while Breece Hall is getting up to speed those first 6 weeks or so until the bye week, Dalvin Cook is your lead back, and you still have a Pro Bowl level lead back. And then when Breece Hall comes back, now you have the best tandem, a Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt tandem that can win games unto themselves if Aaron Rodgers is off for whatever reason, or if there's an injury at wide receiver. Yeah, I'm considering that, man. I'm considering it. Now, I don't know what you do because you drafted Izzy and they're okay. I understand it. Maybe you got to tuck Bam Knight in the practice squad, risk losing him. There's risks. There's also risk to the inaction of just assuming your running back room is really good, and then things don't go our way. Finally, Kevin Byard, who I think makes just the most sense because there's just such a clear spot for him to step in and play right away. Safety for the Tennessee Titans. Now, there's some reports that say he's unhappy. They want him to take a pay cut. He's not going to do it. He's going to be a post-June 1st cut. There was another beat reporter that said, it's all good. He's been talking to the coach. So I'll say it, a situation to monitor. That of Kevin Byard, who 29 years old. In the last 5 years, man, I think he has been the single most underrated defensive back in the NFL. This dude does everything well. He can cover. He can tackle. He's got the range to play the deep middle. He comes up and makes plays in the run game. He's high football IQ. And now you have the really good defensive line. You have C.J. Mosley, who's the quarterback of the middle of your defense, and you stick him on the back end. I really like those, getting stronger up the middle. That's what this defense needs. We're really good at edge rusher. Quinnen's a beast. Corners are phenomenal. But I think defensive interior, linebacker up to safety is where we can improve some. And Kevin Byard goes a long way. And look, I've accepted the Jets are going to keep Jordan Whitehead. I'm done calling for him to be cut. I'm just going to hope he's going to be a bounce back player and understand that, a lot of Jets fans were willing, and I was willing and open to parting with Sheldon Rankins to save the $6 million last year. Sheldon bounces back, was well worth it. So obviously the Jets see a bounce back candidate in Jordan Whitehead. However, can you come to Jordan Whitehead like you came to Carl Lawson and say, hey man, you're on the books for $10 million. Can we do it 6.5, 7? Corey Davis, you're on the books for $11 million. Can we do it at 9? Hey, Ashton Davis, you're gone. We're going to have Trey Dean or, Bernard Converse take your spot. There's $2 million. So you can piecemeal it together to get Byard on the books, and then you are really cooking with gas. And I think if they did acquire Byard, I'd say it's 1A and 1B for the best defense in the NFL between the 49ers and the New York Jets. And I like to bring back Quan Alexander. I like Quan, but make no mistake, it is not in the same stratosphere of impact between Kevin Byard and Quan Alexander. So Hopkins, Cook, Byard, I'd consider all three. You can't do all three of them. You probably can't even do 2. But I think there's one more move to be had. Those are some names to keep an eye on. And we'll talk ball soon.